Saving Walt, Chapter 3, Riverfront Square. It was the autumn of 1963, and Walt Disney's gaze was locked onto the designs for the Riverfront Square that were sprawled all across the desk of St. Louis Mayor Raymond Tucker. Mayor Tucker didn't know why Walt would be gazing so intensely. His own engineers had designed most of the plans. Far from the jovial uncle figure he played on TV, Disney's gaze was so laser-like, Tucker feared the plans might catch fire. Tucker had already promised Disney free rein to do what he wanted with a significant portion of the St. Louis riverfront. And yet, Disney still seemed unsatisfied. "It'll be 5 stories high. It can hold up to 15 attractions, including Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln, your 360-degree panorama films, and it has enough room for both your pirate walkthrough and a haunted house, and we can dig down and create a basement level to house a Davy Crockett attraction. Whatever you want, Mr. Disney."
My father was Mr. Disney, Raymond. Call me Walt.
"Sure thing, Walt."
The building, it's a little drab on the outside.
"We can paint it whichever way you want."
Paint it.
Walt cocked his head in contemplation.
We need to make it look like Main Street, USA.
Of course. This proposal, if accepted, would be the most significant thing to happen to St. Louis in, well, forever. He'd be the most famous mayor in St. Louis's history. Re-election would be a foregone conclusion, to say nothing of running for governor or senator, and from there, who knows? But Raymond Tucker's political ambitions all rested on the judgment of the gray-haired man on the opposite side of his desk. Walt Disney was keeping his cards close to his chest. He wasn't frowning at the St. Louis plans, but he didn't seem enamored with them either. Tucker looked over at Walt's companions. Roy Disney, Walt's older brother, wasn't looking at the plans at all. His nose was buried deep in the mayor's financial and tax incentive proposals. And the other man, Tucker had forgotten his name. He was clearly one of Walt's assistants, but he seemed to be watching Walt's face, trying to gauge his boss's reaction rather than assessing the plans for himself. "It's prime real estate on the riverfront overlooking the Mississippi River." But Walt picked up the plans for the first floor and held it a mere 2 inches from his face. The assistant took a step closer to Walt, obviously pretending to see whatever his boss did. The assistant was a tall man, but Raymond could see that he was crouching down so as he could see things from Walt's point of view, presumably in an attempt to not tower over his boss. Tucker looked over at August Busch, the president of the AnheuserBusch Brewing Company, who was sitting in the corner of his office. Tucker made eye contact with the alcohol magnate, and with a glance, he pleaded for help.
Walt, can I get you a drink?
Said Mr. Busch. Walt nodded while keeping his gaze fixed on the plans. August Busch looked to the mayor and then pointed to Tucker's liquor cabinet as if ordering him to serve everyone. The mayor hurried over and pulled out his finest bourbon and poured several glasses. "Can I pour you gentlemen a drink?" Roy Disney shook his head no, keeping his nose buried in the paperwork, and Walt's assistant didn't even acknowledge the request. Tucker foisted the drink in Disney's direction, and he put down the plans and picked up the drink. Walt put the drink to his lips, and Tucker wanted to sing hallelujah. But then Roy Disney interjected.
This tax incentive proposal, it's not bad, but frankly, we've had other offers, better offers.
"Well, I've spoken to the governor, and he's agreed to designate your old family farm in Marceline a historic monument. Walt Disney's birthplace." The assistant decided to pipe up. "Walt wasn't born in Missouri. He was born in Chicago." Oh. Expletives began racing through the mayor's mind as he vowed to fire whoever had given him the incorrect information. He did his best to recover from the faux pas. "But it would still be a testament to you and your childhood farm, Mr. Disney." Walt looked up at the mayor and raised his eyebrow disapprovingly at the mayor. "Walt!" But his assistant decided to speak up again. But Marceline is on the opposite side of the state. The mayor forced himself to smile, although he secretly wanted to strangle the annoying little sycophant. Luckily, August Busch interjected.
Walt, now, AnheuserBusch is totally willing to buy some land on the outskirts of St. Louis, and we could recreate your family farm from Marceline.
This was news to the mayor. Busch hadn't mentioned anything about sponsoring a farm before, but the mayor jumped at the opening. It'll be the most spectacular petting zoo in America. Every type of animal you grew up with, and more. Walt Disney's eyes lit up, with all the signs of discernment instantly melting away.
Really?
Of course, anything you want.
Anheuser-Busch will spare no expense, both on the farms and the indoor attractions.
The liquor company president raised his glass to Walt, then took a sip of the whiskey. Walt did the same. Families will come from all over the Midwest and East Coast to see the farm of your past and the attractions of the future.
Who could say no to that?
Walt said, softening a bit. Images of the White House began dancing in Raymond Tucker's mind, and he wondered who he should hire for his presidential campaign.
And who can say no to the parents enjoying a cold bottle of America's best brewed craft beer?
Walt cocked his head in confusion.
What do you mean, August? Walt, I've been to Disneyland. Don't get me wrong, it was great, but the kids were screaming and yelling the entire time. They wanted to buy every Mickey Mouse toy in the park. The lines were an hour long for each ride, and the California sun was hotter than a Ciancester. By midday, I needed a drink.
You mean serve alcohol in the park? The assistant added.
Of course.
The assistant gasped.
We don't serve alcohol in Disneyland, August. It's a family-friendly environment, and we want to keep it that way.
We did put that in our memo, the assistant added. Tucker wanted to slap the smug little smart aleck, but he saw the indignation arising in August Busch. He knew he had to think fast. Gentlemen, I'm sure we can come to some sort of arrangement. Maybe we could put a family-themed bar right next to the park. Parents can grab a beer on the way out.
Now wait. You want my company to put millions of dollars into your theme park, but we can't sell our products inside? That's right,
Walt said, without a hint of irony.
If I can't serve alcohol in your little riverfront thingy, I ain't investing. Not $1.
Walt looked stunned. Tucker could tell that he clearly wasn't accustomed to being spoken to in such a manner. Come on, Gussie. The foot traffic alone will be great for St. Louis, and by extension, it will be great for Anheuser-Busch.
August, I thought I was pretty clear about the alcohol policy.
And again, without a hint of irony, Walt took another sip of bourbon. August Busch watched aghast. He pointed at the drink in Walt's hand.
But you're drinking right now.
Walt shrugged and took another sip.
You're crazy.
The room went completely silent, but it felt as if a bomb had just gone off. Roy Disney was staring at August Busch in disbelief. The assistant's eyes were wide with shock and horror. Walt raised his left eyebrow and pursed his lips. And Raymond Tucker could feel his presidential dreams evaporating. Tensions continued to rise. Voices were raised, and not 2 minutes later, Walt Disney, his brother Roy, and their assistant stormed out of the mayor's office. Wait! Gentlemen, wait! I'm sure we can come to some sort of agreement. But chasing after them made no difference. Tucker knew the Disneys were lost. The mayor who lost Disney. The image of negative headlines had now replaced his White House dreams. He went back to his office, where an incensed August Busch was still sitting there, drinking the bourbon.
Can you believe the nerve of that guy? Who the hell does he think he is?
Raymond Tucker had never killed anyone before, but he suddenly had to suppress the urge to strangle August Busch. But killing his biggest financial contributor was no way to win re-election, which was now no longer a foregone conclusion. This has been Chapter 3 of Saving Walt by Andrew L. Young. It was read and performed by Owen McEwen with the voice talents of Paul Fowles. If you enjoyed this broadcast, please be sure to like and subscribe. And if you're in a position to help, please feel free to visit our Patreon page, Andrew Creates. It really helps us out a lot. Thank you.